Hi everyone and welcome to a theme park worldwide news update. The London Resort. It's a subject that I've not spoken about for quite a while, and that's because there's not been loads of updates to share with you all. However, that has changed, and this week we've had some new information, some concept art and much more. So I'm going to be giving you all the latest updates and analysing that concept art shortly, after a bit of a recap about the project's history, because as of course anybody who's been following this project like myself knows, there really has been a roller coaster of a journey so far with the London Resort, and we're actually entering into the 10th year of this project next year, and there's still nothing on the ground. It's crazy. It was 2012 when we first heard about this, back then known as London Paramount Resort. Now of course it's just the London Resort, but yeah, I remember back then there was this grand kind of reveal, you know, for this massive theme park resort in Kent, of course, on the peninsula there, and it was big news. It really was very exciting, and it still is exciting. I just want to put that in there, but there's a lot of people, myself included, that are very skeptical about this. I want to stay positive. I'm a positive person, but with this, there's been so much up and down all the way through, so many changes in leadership with it that, are we still going to see this happen? That's what a lot of people are questioning. And if we go back to 2012, they originally announced an opening date of 2019. So, of course, we should have been really a couple of years into this already being built, maybe further expansion. However, it's probably a good idea, looking back on what's happened with the pandemic over the past couple of years, that they didn't open in 2019. It would have been difficult, opening a big theme park resort and then a year later having shutdowns and things. It would have been really tough for them, and they may not have survived. So it's probably a good idea that it didn't open back in 2019. However, where are we with this project now? I mean, of course, there's been that much uncertainty. And then, obviously, last year we saw that application kind of go towards the government with their plans of what they wanted to do. And a year ago, things were looking really positive for the London Resort. And we had some new concept arts that came out, some more confirmation about a couple of roller coasters, some thrill coasters going in. And things were looking really positive. Until earlier this year, some news came out about the project, of course, saying that the site has been given a site of special scientific interest, meaning that because of the wildlife and greenery on the site, it's become this special interest. That's obviously caused a few issues, and since then news has kind of been pretty sparse since that news as it came out over the summer. However, it's worth pointing out that, of course, the company behind the resort and all the people that are putting the plans together, the developers and behind this, were saying that, we're still pushing forward with this. Don't worry about that. We're still pushing forward with the plans. And we're hoping to, of course, open this in 2024 and start construction next year in 2022. Well, that has now changed, as we're going to find out here from some new information that has gone onto another website now. So they've basically got two websites for the London Resort now. They've got one all about the project and kind of like the environmental aspects of it all, access roads, that kind of thing. And then they've got another website that is just dedicated to the design team about this. Kind of like your Disney Imagineers, the people that are going to be actually coming up with the concepts, designing the attractions, the overall themes, storylines, etc. And they've also got their own website now where they're looking for creative talent to get on board, of course, to help with the project itself. But this is the London Resort Design Group website, and they've revealed this new concept art, and also as well, from reading into it, I found out this information. So here we go, let me read this for you. The London Resort is currently finalising its DCO application in preparation for groundbreaking in 2022 and an opening date of 2025. So there we go, that's took from the official website there from the London Resort Design Group. As we can see, they're still hoping to break ground next year at some point in 2022. However, an opening date of 2025, which, to be honest, is more realistic. And that leads me into talk about these plans in general that I'm going to share with you in just a moment. It is a lot more realistic than what we've seen before. We've seen so many different concepts for this park over the years, this resort, we've seen everything. But this is the most realistic concept plan that we've seen, in my opinion. And something quite funny happened actually when I posted a picture of this on Twitter a couple of days ago. Universal Orlando Resort just commented on it like, because it does look very similar in terms of the general aesthetic of the concept art to their Epic Universe concept art, of course, which is the third part that's going to be coming to Universal Orlando, a third theme park they're building. And yeah, the concept art, it's not like a direct clone or anything. It's a different layout, different rides, but the aesthetic of it, the look of it is very similar. You put the two next to each other and you think, oh, you know, they look very similar, like they've been done by the same designer. So obviously, like, copying a bit of homework there, I think, the London resorts. Or is it just coincidence? Who knows? But yeah, we'll take a look at this concept art in just a moment. But it's certainly looking more realistic, this plan, because you've got to think, building a ground up park, it's going to, you know, they were saying start groundwork next year in 22 and have it open for 24. That's not a long time to build something ground up. Bear in mind, all the full applications haven't gone in yet and been applied for. So yeah, you know, I do think it's more realistic, pushing that back a year to 2025. Now, let's have a look, shall we, at this new concept art. Here it is, Epic Universe, sorry, the London Resort. You gotta have a laugh, haven't you? But there we go. I tell you what, it looks really impressive. Now, this looks completely different, actually, to the concept art that we've seen. When you look at the park layout, it looks like they've revised that. And then I was thinking, maybe with the site of special scientific interest, had they revised the park layout to kind of give more green space on one side of the site? Because it looks like the location of the park may have moved a little bit from the concept art there. Again, it's only concepts. These are likely to change once again. And is this even ever going to get built? We don't know. However, yeah, you know, this is certainly looking a lot more realistic. So let's just talk through this wonderful concept art and zoom in on a few different little bits, shall we, and have a look. So yes, of course, starting off there with the undercover entrance area, which looks great. Now, they have stated that a lot of this park's going to be undercover with indoor attractions, which is perfect for the UK. That's something what I've been saying for a long time we need more of in this country. So yeah, I think if they do go ahead with that, then they're onto a winner in terms of more indoor and undercovered areas. It's what a lot of parks just don't do in this country very well, in my opinion. Now, before, it had a very British and French kind of feel to it. British, of course, because it's in London, well, Kent, and then, of course, French because of the developers and kind of backers behind it. But yeah, it now seems like that's all gone. Before, it had like a French flag on the roof and like a British flag, but no, not anymore. It seems like that's gone from that, which I think is probably quite a positive thing, actually, because we want to be opening this up internationally to people to come to, don't we? Not just, you know, British and French. It needs to be a full international resort. So I kind of like the idea of moving away from that. Along with that then, as you come down this kind of main street, before, a lot of the park looked like it was on the right hand side, whereas now it's more evenly spread, isn't it, across the left and the right after the entrance. Let's just talk about what you see straight off in the middle, kind of opposite the entrance. You can see the castle there. There's a large coaster. Now, from looking at it, again, this is concept art. It looks like that could maybe be some sort of hybrid coaster. So could they be looking at the UK's first RMC, Rocky Mountain Construction? That's if another park hasn't built one by then. I doubt it, but you never know. But yeah, so that's quite interesting. You got this big castle that looks like it's going to have kind of this big facade. There's a dragon on top. Looks very Diagon Alley, that, doesn't it? Like a fire-breathing dragon on the roof. But yeah, that's obviously going to be opposite the entrance. But you've also got this waterway that kind of runs throughout the middle of the park. That I love that. It kind of expands out into a lake on both sides, but then it's like a little river running through the park as well that I really like the look of. But yeah, let's talk about the right hand side now of the park. So off to the right, looks like there's a variety of themed areas, and to be honest, this looks completely different to any other concept art that we've seen. Lots more show buildings. Now, of course, if we talk about the amount of coasters that were on some of the original plans, it looked upwards of 10 roller coasters. Now, looking at these plans, I can see 5 outside. Now, that doesn't mean that they've generally scaled that back. What they could have done is done more indoor roller coasters in the plans, or maybe there is a couple less, but you know what? Just because we can't see as many big coasters on the outside, that isn't too much of a concern in my opinion, because, you know, in this country anyway, We've got a great selection of roller coasters. What we don't have as much is the theming, the experience, the indoor attractions, the dark rides, which is what this park needs to be more about. So I think it's more realistic, to be honest, seeing this. And yeah, the fact that, you know, we've got all these show buildings, some of them pretty large, we could be seeing 2 or 3 indoor coasters possibly. You know, obviously we don't know what's inside them, but just, you know, a lot of people have said to me the past few days, oh, you know, where's all these coasters gone? Well, you know, maybe we're seeing some indoor coasters there, or maybe the different rides, but yeah, that's what it looks like to me. However, you can see the show buildings are kind of in a circle around the middle, and then there's this street that kind of runs around the outside with more buildings on the outside. And when I say show buildings, they can be anything from rides and attractions to food to show venues. A show building isn't just, you know, a stage show. A show building can be used for an attraction or anything. That's just like the theme park terms for that. But yeah, that's really exciting. That whole right hand side of the park looks pretty kind of covered over. Yes, you've got an outdoor street that meanders through it all, but yeah, you know, you've got a lot of indoor attractions, a lot of indoor space there. Of course, if you're following it round, you then come to the castle, and then on the left-hand side of the park, this seems to be more about the bigger coasters there. Obviously, you've got that kind of hybrid that we can see next to the castle and the water area, but also there's at least 4 more coasters there on the left-hand side. Some of them look pretty large that we've seen there. Some of those we've already kind of seen in concept art before, so it's hard to kind of see what manufacturers they may be leaning towards, if they've even decided yet. However, yeah, it certainly looks like that's going to be more coaster heavy outside wise on the left hand side of the park, which is really interesting. So yeah, there's also some large show buildings as well around the outside of that area. And yeah, you know what, this is a more realistic plan. Like I like the fact that, you know, it just certainly doesn't look scaled down. This to me looks more like we're just seeing the park now. A lot of concept art we've seen for this, or most of it, has been the resort, hasn't it? It's shown everything. It's shown like the car park area, the hotels. This is a plan just of the theme park itself, the juicy, the good stuff, what we want, you know. So to me, I like this. I think this is looking realistic. If we're going to see something like this built, layout-wise, I think it'd be great, because you've got this big undercover entrance. You're going to come out, you're going to see this medieval kind of castle with this dragon on top. Maybe they'll use that for shows. I mean, worth pointing out the concept art. It's got all the fireworks on it. So they're obviously looking at doing some sort of big shows and nighttime spectaculars here if it does open. But yeah, you know, it's certainly a more realistic concept art. And then yeah, 2 kind of areas off to the right with a further area behind them really. It kind of looks like from the concept art. At least 5 themed areas it seems, maybe even 6 or 7. But yeah, I like the look of this concept art. I like the waterway throughout the middle, and I like how it's more balanced now, because it's always looked like it in previous concept art that you walk in and then everything's just going to be off to the right, whereas now it's more evenly balanced, it seems. So is that to do with the site of special scientific interest? I don't know. Does that cover the whole peninsula, or is that just certain areas? We don't know them full details. However, this is certainly looking quite positive. As you're probably telling, I'm trying to stay as positive as I can do about this. Yes, I am still sceptical. However, I would love this to happen. Merlin Entertainments, they objected to it earlier in the year, so they're clearly worried. We've seen their investment in their parks grow quite significantly for the next few years. We know Chessington's got a new coaster coming in. Thorpe Park have got plans for a new coaster. What are Alton Towers looking to do in Legoland? You know, so we're seeing Merlin. They're obviously quite scared about this. So let's hope they can keep pushing, keep developing, and I look forward to sharing more updates. I could talk all day about the London resorts. I do find it very interesting, but yeah, that's where we're up to now as of the end of 2021. As always, let me know your thoughts down below in the video comments. For a laugh, let me just overlay the 2 concept arts for you actually. So here we go. Here's Universal's Epic Universe, which is the new park coming to Florida in a few years. And then if we transition there over into the London resort, see what I mean? It's not a direct copy or anything, it's just the aesthetic of it. And Universal saw what I posted on Twitter and did that response, which was quite funny. It went quite viral, and it did make me laugh actually. It was a really good laugh from Universal's social media team. So there we go. Thanks for joining me for another update here on Theme Park Worldwide. Always giving you the latest information as it comes out. And yeah, this is a really fascinating project. It really is. So there we go. Thanks for watching. And that leaves me with one final thing to say. Get out there and keep on riding. See you tomorrow.